My colleague, members of the NWC, you have already been introduced individually. My very dear friend and comrade, the distinguished Senator of the Federal Republic, distinguished Senator Binani, Aisha Binani. I'm sure you will understand why I have to first call her. First, she has the same first name as my mom, my momsy. But also for this inauguration of the screening committee and the appeal committee. We decided to inaugurate the two together because we recognize, first, you are all right. We can proceed and start the business of the day, and whenever he comes in, he will be able to join us. So we take responsibilities for this miscommunication, which has led to this delay, and we ask for your apology. Or rather, we apologize to you. As you have noticed from the introductions, this is a screening committee that has been made up of learned, highly educated, politically grounded members, unlike any of the screening committee that I can remember in our party. We've chosen, as you will notice from the introduction, to lean more on academics, professors who are well grounded in university system. We also have lawyers, including senior advocates, who are well grounded on issues of law. And of course, with pride, I introduce the distinguished Senator Binani, who is not only grounded in all of this, but she is deep and well knowledgeable in what APC stands for, our core values, and of course, she knows what the corporate interest of APC is, and therefore she will ensure that in all that you do, she brings on board those core values of our party. So this is the reason we have tried to make extensive consultation to have people who, in our judgment, are sound. And when they go through these procedures, their recommendation will be very, very helpful to us. When I say us, I mean we in the NWC. Under our rules, we are expected to set up a screening committee before every election. The responsibility of the screening committee is to interact and interrogate all those who have aspiration to contest. Strictly speaking, not yet aspirants. You become an aspirant after the screening committee has passed you. If anybody is dissatisfied with the findings of the screening committee, he will go or she will go and appear before, she will file appeal, and it will be forwarded to the appeal committee. And the appeal committee will listen to the appeal, and on the basis of their findings, they will make the final recommendation to the National Working Committee that has the final decision as to who is eligible and who is not eligible. It is when we are done with all of these processes, that those who scale the process become the aspirant, in this case, the governorship aspirant for Edo State. So in the past, we have always performed this role, but maybe we didn't give it the appropriate weight. Maybe we had assumed, and as in that on rather wrongly, that people who want to aspire to certain offices, particularly elective high office of a governor, for example, or deputy governor, that no one who is aspiring at that level will submit documents that may border on forgery or border on with conflicting information that could possibly lead to disqualification. And so, in the past, this exercise has been more of a formality. But from what happened to us in Bayelsa State just earlier this year, we decided to approach the issue of screening much more seriously than ever before. And therefore look for people who knows what the issues could possibly be, and therefore act in the best interest of the party. Because from what we now know, the court, even at the Supreme Court level, has given judgment that the court will not interfere in why the party qualify or disqualify anybody. That is the party's prerogative. However, when the party has done its screening and forward a name to INEC as a candidate, then the court assumes jurisdiction if there are issues that has to do with whether it is age, it is qualifications, whatever the issues may be. So, having given the parties that full responsibility to screen, any impurity arising from it is the burden of the party. And so, arising from Bayelsa, where we won an election, but it turned out that the deputy governor had issues as to the spelling of his name and what that name means and so on and so forth. Just a day to swear in, the Supreme Court found that he was not eligible. I mean, he wasn't qualified, or there were contradictions that led to the nullification of that election. What makes that decision even more intriguing to us as a party is that this deputy governor that was elected, whose election has now led to the nullification of even the governor, the problem of the spare tire now affected the entire vehicle, is that this person was a city senator at the time he was picked as a running mate. And he went through screening. Neither the party, nor INEC, or his opponent find any fault. But thereafter, he now seeks to be deputy governor. Now, you will assume that having already been a city senator, that everything is fine. Now, it turned out that whereas people decided to keep quiet for the purpose of Senate, when he now decides to contest as deputy governor, they raise those issues. So, as I said, the rest is history. As we speak, he remains in the Senate. Again, which some people must say how. But again, it has to do with the provisions in the law that there is time limit within which, whether pre-election matter or post-election matter, there are time limit within which it must be dealt with. So the time limit to question his credentials as a senator had lapsed. So even though the Supreme Court now reached this decision, it did not affect his current status. And as a result, he remains a senator today, even as he was disqualified as a deputy governor, leading to the nullification of even the governor's election. And that is why, as I said earlier, we have tried to learn something positive from that, and take maximum precaution to ensure that when we do feed a candidate, if we are going to have issues, those issues should have nothing to do with eligibility or non-eligibility, or with certificate or age or whatever. But the challenge has been, how does a screening committee, as in your own case now, or appeal committee, you may only see what the applicant has provided, and on the basis of what is before you, reach a conclusion one way or the other. But there could be information that an applicant or an aspirant may not have provided, and therefore does not come before you. So to cure this gap, we decided to introduce what we call claims and objection, and display it in our party office, so that members of our party can have access to whatever the aspirants have provided, and if they have anything to say or they have information they know which somebody is concealing, they can make it available. And all of that will be brought to the screening committee so that you have, as much as possible, full picture of the credentials of each of the aspirants. So by yesterday, we did that display, and I'm informed that people are already responding, which is interesting. And all of those will be brought to you for you study them, and then you'll be able to be guided in your screening process, as well as the appeal committee that will deal with matters arising from the screening if anybody appeal. So that claim and objection is a new innovation to help the party, particularly with the processes of screening and arriving at a decision. While we were speaking, I noticed that somebody came in, and you may wish to introduce yourself. As I said, we apologize because they got the information late, so we fully understood why you were coming late. So I want to therefore encourage you to take this exercise very, very seriously. I'm sure you can only imagine how we felt as a party when, after we have won an election, there were no question. In fact, it was the best election ever conducted in Bayelsa State. No violence. People voted, perhaps people will say for the first time. But we lost it because the deputy governor, according to the Supreme Court, had contradictions in his documents. And so we lost it. So the screening is not a formality. We expect you to be very, very meticulous in every material particular to protect our party. So that let it not be said that we didn't learn anything from Bayelsa. As you know, sometimes when things go wrong, as you must have seen, everybody says the AWC didn't do a thorough job. Some even personalize. If the chairman was thorough, if he had done his job, this will not happen. But that is the price for leadership. But for me, the important lesson is, if we have made a mistake in the past, are we taking steps to correct it? And I think this is what this exercise represents. So we will give you a copy or copies of our party constitution, because that is the primary contract between members of APC. This constitution is the basis of our actions. So we'll make it available to you. We'll also make available to you the guidelines that have been developed for the purpose of conducting primaries and screening of primaries. So I trust that given your the caliber of your persons and your exposure, that you will help the party to do a thorough job as to protect us as an institution from any possible judicial reversal of anything arising from this process. On behalf of myself and members of the NWC, I want to thank each and every one of you for obliging to assist us in this regard. It looks simple, but it's very complicated and extremely important job. And I think you should join me to clap for members who have accepted at short notice to assist us. It now remains for me to read out the names and then formally inaugurate. The first step is the screening. The screening committee includes the following: Professor Jonathan Ayuba. I think we should clap for him. He will serve as chairman of the screening committee. Professor Agbo Madaki will serve as a member of the screening committee. Honorable Ibrahim Zelani will serve as a prominent member of the screening committee. He knows why I regard him as a prominent member. Every member is very prominent. But he has been an activist and he has run election on our party platform and is one of the founding members of our party. My own authentic, undiluted digital distinguished Senator Aisha Binani will also be a member of this screening committee. Then Dr. Jane Frances, you didn't put the surname. I think you assume that this Frances is Francis. It's Jane Frances, and another, the surname is not here. Agbo. So we stand corrected. And you may not sue us for writing your name incomplete. ABU?
Yes. No, that's what they wrote here.
AGBU. Kenina. Ikage mata kaki. Narwanga. Dr. Rabi Nasir. Dr. Rabi Nasir will act as secretary of the screening committee. And Honorable Fort Dike is a member of the screening committee. So I want to thank you for accepting to assist our party in this particular regard. But like I said, the screening committee is like the High Court. Now, the Court of Appeal is the appeal committee. And the appeal committee will be chaired by Professor Sadiq Abba. I will have Binga Ulubanjo. See here? Okay. And Mala Mohammed Idris. Still here? Okay. Professor Abubakar Sani. Fari. F. Esther Bepel.
She's on her way.
And barrister, no barrister. It's Esquire.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Dr. Boila, I forgot the first name. Daniel Boila, sorry. Daniel Boila as secretary. So we made a mistake, and I hope you forgive me. Professor Abubakar Sani,
Fine, sir.
Abubakar Fari is the chairman of the appeal committee. I think there was a mix-up, and I hope you do not, please, what is it that you wrote here? No. So that is just a mix-up. But chairman is first among equals, so it's not a big deal, just that there's a little error from the secretary. So, like I said, the appeal committee is like the High Court. Sorry, the screening committee is like the High Court. The appeal committee is like the Court of Appeal. And then the Supreme Court is the NWC. Because whatever you bring, they are subject to acceptance or modification by the NWC. But that is only to the extent that we find impurities in the process. So I want to really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate each and every one of you who at very short notice has honored us by accepting to assist our party in this very, very important task. You have two options. The NWC room is where the screening committee will take place, and we use the same room for the appeal committee. The screening committee will have the first sitting, and when they finish, then the appeal committee can look at their work. But however, if in your judgment, after looking at the place, it does not provide for sufficient social distancing, then this hall can be used for that exercise. The whole idea is to protect you and protect all those who have, they are not yet aspirant, all those who have expressed, or do we call them expressionists? All those who have expressed interest. All the logistics you required for this job, stationaries, whatever is it that you require, you'll be expected to liaise effectively with the secretariat. Unfortunately, the national secretary is a bit under the weather, so he's not here. But the office is here. So whatever you need, we will encourage you to liaise with the national organizing secretary to sort out any help, any information that you may require. And I'm sure he will be very glad to assist you. Once again, on behalf of our party, and in particular the National Working Committee, we thank you for this great honor you've done to us. May God bless you, and may God reward you abundantly.